Hello and welcome, dear fiber friends. It's me, Helene, and I am back with a new tutorial. It's been a little while since I've had one, so I'm really pleased to present my Vista Point scarf and hat set that I hope you will really enjoy making. Be surprised how quickly it works up once we get past the initial border. And the pattern is really fun. It's one setup row for this and an easy 2-row repeat. You can have it with or without fringe. Looks good either way. And so for today's tutorial, I will be doing the scarf, and then I will be back as soon as I can to bring you the hat tutorial as well. And I do have a written pattern which includes both the hat and the scarf already in my Etsy shop. Link for that is down below in the drop down description section, along with a timestamp for this tutorial and any other related mentions. Just to let you know that the hat starts out just a little bit differently. The multiples are different because I wanted less separation above the band just to retain that warmth. And you can work this in just about any weight that you like, up to, I would say, a chunky weight. Now this is worked in Premier Puzzle Cotton. I love this yarn. Gets some warmth without being too hot, and it's lightweight. It's so soft, really fun to work with. Just love the colors. And this one happens to be called Vista, so I was inspired to name it after that. And as most, if not all, of my designs are inspired by nature. So this is a number 4 medium weight. It calls for an I 5.5 millimeter hook, and that is what I used. So I suggest whatever yarn you go with for the entire pattern itself. You can start with what's recommended on the ball band. You can do a swatch if you like, see how you like that gauge. But I do suggest going up 1 hook size just for the beginning chain only, and to prevent over tightening, and so your sides for the beginning row is not over tightened and even and consistent with the rest. And it also gives more stretch to that as well. Or you can stick with the same hook size throughout, and then just when you're working the beginning chain, work those chains a little bit elongated to give that extra length, the same as if you were going up a hook size. Just make sure they're all consistent. So as far as amount of yarn, I would say at least 2 standard 3.5 ounce 100 gram balls or skeins should do it. Now this is equivalent to 2, so it's 7 ounces, 200 grams, and 349 yards, which divided in half is 174.5 or 160 meters. So that is on the thicker end of the medium weight or worsted. And if you go with the yarn that's a little more loosely spun, not so tight, that's going to give you more loft, or even say a roving yarn, or one that has a little fuzz to it. Lion Brand Heartland is another good one that's on the thicker medium range, and those are just going to give you more loft. It's going to really showcase and make that texture stand out nicely that the pattern itself lends to. And it also helps fill in the gaps a little bit, so just give you an idea on that. And in the written pattern, I include metric conversions and always a link back to my tutorials, so that way you can just pop back in if you need any extra visual, and go down to the timestamp where you can click to any segment in that tutorial, my free tutorial here on YouTube. And for the fringe, I used from my stash Lion Brand Heartland yarn. One of my favorites in the acrylic, and this is called Great Sand Dunes, named after all of the different national parks in the United States. So it's the Great Sand Dunes. and that color just worked out so well. And even though this puzzle cotton is more of a matte finish and this has a bit of a sheen, I thought it still worked really well. And the hat, you can add a pom-pom if you like, or you can make it plain, and it's worked from the bottom up, and even the top portion, that worked out really nice too. I thought so. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started with this. Wait, hold on. Supplies, 1 to 3 stitch markers, one for sure, if I can find where I put mine, there we go, to mark the right side of your work. And if it helps to keep your place at each end, you can have 2 more, 1 for each end if you like. So when you turn, you make sure you're working into the correct stitch and not taking away or adding one in accidentally. And then the 1 to 2 hook sizes as mentioned, and a row counter or something to keep track of just for that beginning border only, because when we come around to the other side, we're going to do the same to match that, to mirror that. And it's just gorgeous autumnal fall colors. And this would probably just take one 3.5 ounce. Okay, so grab your hook and your yarn. On this scarf, I'm not going to get into the multiples because it just makes this sound complicated when it's not. So instead, I have 2 numbers that you can choose from depending on the yarn thickness you're using. All right, go ahead, make your slip knot however you do yours. And I'm going to go with my 5.5 millimeter eye hook and make those elongated stitches. And remember now, if you're going up 1 hook size for your beginning chain, when you're finished, set that aside, then go back down to the smaller of the 2, and you'll use that for the rest of your scarf. For my scarf, I chained 24, and it's about 6.5 inches wide, or 16.51 centimeters. Okay, so I'm just going to do 24 on this one. Okay, there are my 24 chains. And now we're going to work into the back bumps. So just roll your work over, and that's the raised loop going down the center. Begin with a single crochet in the second chain from the hook, and the first skip chain does not count as a stitch, then single crochet in each remaining chain across. And this is row 1 on the right side of your work, and at the end of row 1 you will have 1 less stitch than what your beginning chain was. So if you chain 24, you will now have 23 single crochets. You chained 38, you will then have 37. At the end of row 1 on the right side of the work, double check your stitch count, very important, make sure that's correct. Okay, and now for the next 2 rows, rows 2 and 3, you're going to chain 1 and turn, single crochet in that beginning single crochet and in every single crochet across. So whether your number is 23 or 37, that's the number you'll maintain throughout the rest of your scarf. So go ahead and finish rows 2 and 3, and after row 3 you will be back on the right side of your work, and then you will have enough, little bit of a width. I would take that stitch marker, okay, and just pop that somewhere on the right side. So I will see you back at the end of row 3. For row 4, setting up for our post stitches, now we're going to chain 2 and turn, and that beginning chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and that's where another stitch marker would help. placing it into our first stitch, first and last of the row, so you don't accidentally work into the chain 2 instead of the stitch itself. Now we're going to place a double crochet in that beginning stitch and 1 double crochet in every single crochet all the way across. And again, you will still have that same number, in my case 23, so you either have 23 or 37 double crochets now. Okay, so that completes row 4, and now row 5 begins our post stitches. And chain 2 and turn. And now we're going to place 1 half double crochet in our beginning double crochet and front post double crochet around the next double crochet, back post double crochet around, get hung up there, around the next double crochet. And when I work my back post, since that can be a little fiddly, it's easy to drop the yarn, I take the right and left side on either side of that post and just pinch those together a little bit. Gives a little bit more control. Okay, and again, front post double crochet in the next, back post in the next, front post in the next, and that is your repeat all the way across. And in the second to last, which will be, see, almost was pointing to my chain 2. No, that's not a stitch. So the second to last stitch right here, you will end with a front post double crochet, and I will meet you right there. Okay, here we are, just about at the end of row 5. Back on the right side of the work, 1 left, and at the end we'll do just like we did at the beginning with a half double crochet in the last. Alright, now for row 6 on the wrong side, chain 2 and turn, half double crochet in that beginning half double crochet, and now we're going to back post double crochet around the back post. And you sometimes, depending on the yarn you're working with, you might need to separate the stitches on either side just to be sure that back post doesn't get lost. Okay, so back post around the back post double crochet, front post double crochet around the front post double crochet, back post double crochet around the back post. And that is your repeat all the way across. Front, back, front, back. Make sure at the very end you get that last back post double crochet, and in the very last stitch you will place a half double crochet. Okay, I will see you at the end of row 6. Okay, at the end of row 6, that's the wrong side of the work. Okay, and now you're just going to repeat chain 2 and turn for row 7, back on the right side that is, half double crochet in that first half double crochet, and now you front post around the front post double crochet, back post double crochet around the back post, front post double crochet around the front post. That is it for your repeat all the way across with a half double crochet in that last stitch. That is row 7, and then you repeat rows 6 and 7 to your desired height, ending on row 6 on the wrong side of the work. Okay, and then just keep in mind we're going to add another 3 rows of single crochet after the post stitches before we begin the main pattern. So you decide how high or short that you want that. You can stop here if you like and just add your 3 rows. Okay, or you can keep going. I did not measure this. I just kept going until how I liked it, really. But I think I did rows 6 and 7, those two repeats. I did them a total of 3 times. So that was 6 rows total. I think total from here. So that will depend on your yarn, you know, on how thick it is too, and just to your own liking, however you like that. And make sure you end on row 6, the wrong side of your work. Okay, so go ahead and work to your desired height. I am going to take this out since I showed you the stitches, because this is just going to be a sample size. I already worked a full piece. So I've ended on row 6, and this is where you can pause now and to catch up to where you need to be, and then I'm going to continue on now with the last portion, which is just like we did at the beginning. Chain 1 and turn, and of course that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then single crochet in the beginning half double crochet, and every post stitch all the way across, and a single crochet in that last half double crochet at the end. Okay, I'm at the end of my first single crochet row, so you want to repeat this row 2 more times. So now chain 1 and turn, be on the wrong side of the work, single crochet in that beginning single crochet, and in every single crochet across. So after this second row you will do this 1 more time, and you will end on the right side of your work. And now let's go on with our main scarf pattern. Okay, and if you haven't double checked your stitch count, I would do that here at the end of your third single crochet row. And we're going to start with a new stitch count, starting with row 1, because I've divided the pattern into 3 sections. So with the beginning border, the main pattern, and the end border, it's just a little easier for me to keep track of the numbers that way, just to separate it out. Alright, so chain 2 again does not count as a stitch, and in that beginning single crochet place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and if you have that extra stitch marker, place that in the top of your first double crochet. Now skip the next 2 single crochets and place 1 double crochet in each of the next 2. 1 and 1 in the next. Skip the next 2 single crochets, and in the next place 5 double crochets all into that same stitch, and the set of 5 double crochets count as a shell. Skip the next 2 single crochets and 1 double crochet in each of the next 2, and this is your repeat pattern. Okay, skip the next 2, 5 double crochets in the next, skip the next 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 2, and you repeat that up to your last 4 single crochets. Okay, so if you have your 37 stitches, go ahead and finish that across with 4 single crochets left, and we are going to skip the next 2, place 3 double crochets in the next, and 1 double crochet in the last. Now this is a stitch pattern that I showed probably a few years ago or so. I liked it so much, and I knew there was something I wanted to do with it. I wasn't sure at the time. So yeah, this is what I came up with, and I just recreated it a little bit and to put it together with kind of what I had pictured in my mind. And now for our first row of our 2-row repeat, chain 2 and turn. We are back to the right side. Place 2 double crochets in the beginning double crochet. 1, 2. Skip the next 3 double crochets and place 5 double crochets in between the set of 2 double crochets. Right in between those, place 5 double crochets. Okay, and then jump over to your shell, your set of 5 double crochets, and place 1 double crochet in between the second and third, and another double crochet in between the third and fourth. So if you look at your stitches, that third is that center stitch, so that's always a good visual landmark for you, and you have your 2 on either side. So you place 1 double crochet in between the second and third, so that's to the right of the third, that middle double crochet, and 1 in between the third and fourth, so to the left, in between those 2 stitches to the left of your center double crochet. Well, easy as that. And then that sets us up for the next row. You can see 2 double crochets together, the set of 2. That's where we place our 5 on the next row. Okay, and then you skip the last 2 double crochets of that shell and 5 double crochets in between the next set of 2. Oh boy, look, this was all nice and tidy when I got set up last night. I knew, I should have known better rather. Oh no, what a mess. Hope I don't have to cut this. I left it out all set up, and I see my cat got to it. What is it with cats and yarn anyway? I guess the movement. They think it's a mouse tail, maybe. Oh, good. There we go. Okay. All right. Back in business. So that was 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's kind of annoying, that ticking sound. So yeah, just go ahead and do your 5. So you can move your stitch marker up too as you go. Alright, so there's 5. And now, again, place 1 double crochet in between the second and third of your shell and your third and fourth, just in between the stitches. Okay, and skip the last 2 double crochets of the shell. Jump over to your set of 2 double crochets and place 5 more double crochets. So there's your last shell and that last set of 2 double crochets. So you repeat this sequence up to your last 3 double crochets. Then you skip the next 2 and place 2 double crochets in the top of your last double crochets. Place 2, and that completes row 2. That is on the right side of your work. And now row 3, chain 2 and turn. It's the wrong side of the work. Place 3 double crochets in the beginning double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Skip the next double crochet, and there's your set of 5, your shell. So you place 1 double crochet again in between the second and third, and another double crochet in between the third and fourth. 5 double crochets in that set of 2 double crochets. Okay. So you're essentially just repeating for the main pattern across the same on rows 2 and 3, and the only difference is what we do at each end on the 2 rows. Alright, so repeat this same pattern across. Now we're up to the shell, so again, between the second and third, place a double crochet. Between the third and fourth, place a double crochet. Okay. Here's the set of 2. Place your shell, your 5 double crochet. Well, I'm really playing a game of for real cat and mouse here with my yarn. Chasing it around. Okay. Alright, so you continue that pattern up to your last 2 double crochets, and now you put 3 double crochets in the first, and 1 double crochet in the last. And you repeat rows 2 and 3, 2 and 3, and you want to end on row 3 on the wrong side, so it's just 2, 3, 2, 3 to your desired length, and leaving enough space for the end border, which will be the same as the beginning. Alright, so I'll go ahead, if you like, just to get you started with that again. And you can always rewind. And once you get going and you have several rows, it's easy to just look back to the previous row and see that what you do next. Okay, so now for repeating row 2, chain 2 and turn. Okay, and you can look back 2 rows below. That's 2 double crochets in the first. So this is our chain 2. I see, okay, I placed 2 double crochets in the first. Good, that's easy. And then you skip over. Remember, we skipped the 3, so you skip 3, and you just go right over to the set of 2 double crochets, and you work a shell just like you did 2 rows below. And you repeat that across with your double crochet in between the second and third, and the third and fourth of the shell. Your set of 5. Continue working across to the end, and at the end of row 2 you work up to your last 3. You skip the next 2, and you work 2 double crochets in the last, and you can see that, which would be, since we're working on this top row here, that would be 2 rows below. Here's your row 2. You can see you have 2 double crochets there. Okay, so I'll meet you across at the end, and I'll get you started again with row 3. Now I chain 2 and turn, and this is where I place on row 3 now. I place 3 double crochets in that first double crochet, skip the next, And now I just work my 2 double crochets on either side of that center of the shell, and again back into pattern with the 5 in the shell. Okay, repeat that across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 3. And now I am back at the end of row 3, the second repeat set, finished working in my last shell. So you skip the last 2 double crochets of the shell and you work that across right up to your last 2 stitches, and I place 3 double crochets in the first of those 2 and 1 in the last, which is the same as what I did 2 rows below. Just separate those stitches a little bit if you want, that way you can easily see what's what. Alright, so now this is another place where you will pause and finish the length, and then you come back. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to finish the last of it. Oh, and did I already tell you, make sure you end on row 3, the wrong side of the work, so that way when we turn, chain 1 and turn, okay, our single crochets are back on the right side, and place 1 single crochet in every double crochet all the way across. Now, because of that our stitches, when you have the shell, some are higher, like the top 3 are higher. In some patterns, to even that out straight across, I would work, say, half double crochet in the lower stitches and a single crochet in the taller stitches, so the half double crochet evens up the height. And now you can do this if you want to, but I just worked this with singles all the way across, so these stitches would just these single crochet stitches would all look the same. But depending on the yarn you're working with and your tension, this first row may be slightly uneven, as it's because it'll take on, see, a bit of that wave shape of the shells. Your next 2 rows will even that out some, but what I did to adjust or correct that a little bit, since I just went with the all single crochet, I just very lightly and simply blocked the border, the beginning and end border. And since I was going to mist that with water anyway for my fringe, and I just wanted to block that out just a bit to make that even. And if that your end curls a little bit, then you can do that too. You might want to pin that down on something. Even if you don't have blocking mats, you can use a towel, or if you have a piece of foam from something else, like packing material, sometimes they come in foam, you can do that. Now, if you are putting in fringe, then you probably won't need to, because the weight of the fringe, that's going through the single crochets, that helps to stretch that out a little bit, and the weight of the fringe tends to anchor that down. But all I did, I might as well just show you now real quick, is I just laid it flat and I misted it a little bit with some warm water, and I just this was the end. The darker section was the beginning, and yeah, here was the end. And I just straightened these out a little bit, lifted them up where the shell dips down. I just pushed those back, that part back, and the shorter ones I brought down a little bit. So pushed the longer ones up and the shorter ones down, I made sure it was all even. I looked at from a couple sides and I let it lay flat to dry, and that was all it took. It was super easy, just took me a few minutes. Took me longer to fiddle with my fringe, and I just trimmed that up a bit. But sometimes I like that curly freeform look on the fringe. It depends on the yarn. It just seemed like it worked well with the yarn, and that's what it wanted to be, so I let it do its thing. Alright, let's go on. 2 more rows now, just like we did before. 2 more rows of single crochet. That's it. Chain 1 and turn. Single crochet in every single crochet across. Double check your stitch count and make sure you have your same number as before. Alright, so do a total of 3 rows of single crochet, and your third again will bring you back to the right side of your work, and so I will see you there at the end of the third single crochet row. Alright, so the rest is super easy. It's just like we did at the beginning. Now we want to set ourselves up for the post stitches. So like we did before, you chain 2 and turn, and you place 1 double crochet in the beginning single crochet and 1 double crochet in every single crochet all the way across. And it's another good spot here to make sure that you have your same stitch count as before, so then your post stitches work out the same too. Okay, I'm at the end of the all double crochet row, setting us up for our post stitches. So that is row 4. That's on the wrong side. So row 1, 2, 3 were our single crochet rows. Just finished row 4. Now we're going to work row 5. Take us back to the right side of the work. That's our first post stitch row. So you chain 2 and turn. And now remember, we place a half double crochet in that beginning double crochet. That's where you work your front post double crochet, back post, front post, back post, and you work all the way across up to your last stitch, and the second to last you will wind up with a front post double crochet. Remember, in the last you work a half double crochet. Make sure it's in the top of the stitch and not the chain 2 at the end. Now for row 6, chain 2 and turn takes us to the wrong side of the work. Half double crochet in that first half double crochet, and now this is where you place your back post stitch around the back post, and be careful on that one. Make sure you don't overlook it. They can kind of get smushed down and hard to see sometimes, those back posts, especially if you're working with a really kind of squishy lofty yarn like that. I just love the texture. It's just so neat. It's lots of cush and squish for this time of year in this climate. It's great. Okay, so go ahead, work row 6. I think you've got the drill by now. I hope so. Front post, back post, all the way across. Your second to last will be a back post double crochet, and your last stitch is 1 half double crochet. And now to complete the post portion, go ahead and work the rows. Front post, front post, to the same number of rows that you did at the beginning border, and make sure you end on the wrong side of your work, because that sets you up for the final 3 single crochet rows. same as you did before with the chain one and turn. See, now you're back on the right side of your work. Okay, place one single crochet in each post stitch, just in the top, not around, just like you did before, in every stitch across. Also, be sure and place a single crochet in each of your beginning and end half double crochets, and also recount your single crochets at the end of this row to be sure your number is correct. So you go ahead and you do your final three rows of single crochet, and that's it. That completes your scarf, and so you can either wear it as is without fringe. I wanted to bring you something that looked good every way, because maybe you want to make one of each, or some people aren't into fringe, and that's all fine. Whatever you like. Ooh, I like how this yarn's working up too. I don't know if I have enough for a scarf, but I think that's really pretty. Surprised me. You never know quite how something's going to look until you work it up. Alright, so if you're going to add fringe, you have a really good stitch count here that makes it even across, and what I did with mine is I placed fringe starting with the end in every other stitch all the way across. Every other stitch perfectly evenly placed, and you will wind up with one in the end. And you can make yours however long or short that you want. On my Vista scarf, I did three strands. I just took a book. I was feeling a little lazy. I didn't want to get up for the umpteenth time, so I just grabbed a book that I had on the table and thought, okay, this looks right, this looks about right, that'll work. So I just wrapped it around 3 times, so the length of it, so of course when you fold the fringe in half, right, and you pull it through, then you get double that. So I wind up then now with 6 strands each. And then I just gave it a kind of a rough cut at the end. It's not exactly even, and just with the bit of the curlies, it all blends. If I were to straighten my fringe perfectly straight, that I do for a lot of projects, then I try to get that as even as possible. And I actually have a video on how I cut and do my fringe placement, so that is in my like tips, and I can't think of the name of that playlist, but it's in there in the playlist, but I'll leave the link below in the drop down description section for you anyway. Okay, well, wow, that's it already. Oh, I'm looking at that thinking, oh my, that could be something else too. That could make a really cool blanket, sweater. Yeah, really nice blanket or sweater stitch. That would be great. Okay, terrific. Well, thanks so much for being here. Let me know if you make this. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thumbs up, comments, always appreciated. Helps my channel out, get me out there. Come back again, see me next time, and come back for that hat tutorial. And I'm working on a larger project, actually. I've been working on it since September, so hopefully I'll have that for you soon. I'll take a break. I like doing some smaller projects in between. Alright, well, have a great rest of your day or evening. Take good care out there. Stay well, be safe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.